What's good, y'all? I'm here to talk about the Hawlucha buffs and changes in this hack. This is not your average run-of-the-mill ROM hack, so if you're just clicking on this video, or if you have yet to do so, I strongly recommend that you check out the description below. There is a link to the very same Google Sheet that I'm sharing on screen right now, and you can check out all of the other Pokemon buffs and changes. Most importantly, you can check out the 600 plus move buffs and changes. Those are super crucial to understand how the Pokemon function now. So yeah, definitely give those a look. But with Hawlucha, I did remove Unburden. Reason being, Farfetch'd is a fighting and flying type with the ability Unburden as one of its abilities that it can switch between. Every Pokemon is balanced to be able to switch between its two abilities constantly with the infinite use ability capsule to make the most use out of your Pokemon and, you know, to let them do a lot of different cool things. So I try to balance every ability so that both have you know, a lot of equal use and viability to switch between each other. So yeah, no more Unburdened because, again, Farfetch'd has slightly lower base attack. I believe it's 109 with super luck and you know, with the 50% crit moves, you can use the stick and always crit. And then he has Unburden, which is incredible, especially with buff Quick Claw. But Hawlucha doesn't need that anymore because Hawlucha has an incredible base speed now. Not to mention he does have one of his abilities as Moxie, which is a very, very fitting ability for Hawlucha. In my opinion, at least. I mean, he's like this whole wrestler, and his whole thing is like, you know, kind of being cocky and full of himself as like this reckless wrestler. Hence why I also give him Reckless, which I'll get into why that's awesome in a second. But excuse me, Moxie is very self-explanatory. Keep in mind that setup PP and the general viability of setup moves is heavily nerfed in this hack. You do have a 2x resistance to first impression, which is nice. Also, the reason that I modified his HP is because I try to base HP also more on size, and Hawlucha's a tiny little guy, so, you know, I try to keep those guys with like 60-ish HP. However, I did put the 13 right back in Spit F, so it's not like he's that much frailer, and also, like, he's not supposed to be a bulky Pokemon by any means. Although, you know, the typing has some useful resistances and immunities you can switch in on certain moves, and also you can just, you know, use pivot Pokemon, which every Pokemon has switch moves now, so you can easily get on Frail. You can easily get in Frail fast attackers like this. He does resist First Impression and Sucker Punch, two of the most common priority moves in the hack, but there is a priority move of every type that pretty much every Pokemon has at least one of. Hawlucha, in this case, has Mach Punch and Aerial Ace as well by level up, and then Sucker Punch and First Impression via TM. But in general, Hawlucha's great because of that 133 base speed. If you go to the Google Sheet, you can check out the speed tier guide, and you can see where Hawlucha currently stacks up against other Pokemon. Keep in mind that you're not guaranteed max IVs or a plus speed nature, so you're, you know, for example, if the AI has a, I don't know, a freaking 120 base speed Pokemon, a Dugtrio, all right, that's on this list, with a Jolly nature and max speed EVs and IVs, your Hawlucha potentially might not even outspeed that if you don't have a plus speed nature as well. So you definitely have to make these most use out of your Pokemon in that regard. But that's just kind of to put it into context. But in general, 133 base speed is still incredible, definitely in the top 10% of speed stats in this hack. So that's a very good speed tier to be in. Very, very nice, very, very good stuff for Hawlucha. Very fitting. Also, in my opinion, is this little nimble wrestler dude. And Reckless. Reckless is incredible. So there is a new move called Dive Bomb that functions like flying type high jump kick, which a lot of flying types, pretty much every physical flying type in the game and other Pokemon get. And that is Reckless boosted like high jump kick is. So high jump kick and Dive Bomb, dual stab. Keep in mind that I did balance this hack with hardcore Nuzlocke in mind. So if you miss, you're like basically dead. And that is not safe. So you're gonna want to run Wide Lens, which is buffed in this hack to give you a 15% accuracy boost, which is great for household Pokemon and stuff, which is very common. But in this case, it makes it so that 90% accurate moves won't miss, so you don't have to worry about missing Dive Bomb or High Jump Kick, and that's pretty great. As for moves like Brave Bird and Submission being incredibly powerful. Submission is essentially close combat and like double edge in one move. It's 150 base power, same effect as stuff like Headlong Rush and Head Smash and stuff, and that's incredible. And again, I recommend that you just check out all these move buffs and changes in the description because there's way too many to cover. But Submission's great. That's incredibly powerful late game. You know, you're very frail, so dropping your defenses doesn't matter. You take 30% recoil, which is not even that bad. Shell Belt heals you by 20% of damage dealt now. So moves like Play Rough, Wild Charge, Rock Climb, and Stab Takedown will deal 0% recoil damage, while Brave Bird will only deal 5% recoil overall because that's 25% recoil. So Brave Bird plus Takedown plus Rock Climb, Wild Charge / Play Rough, that's a beautiful, you know, plethora. It's a beautiful array of crit moves that you can use. Brutal Swing as well. Brutal Swing being a dark type, 125 base power recoil move, same as Brave Bird. So those four that are TMs, you know, the four that I listed earlier are 20% recoil, 110 base power. So yeah, Takedown plus Brutal Swing plus Brave Bird plus any of those other three moves is great, and then later on you'll get Submission at the end of the game, but that's obviously very late game. All of those moves are late game. Up until level 50, you don't have any level up Recoil moves, however, you do have a bunch of really good ones by, sorry, I had to get a notification. You have a bunch of really good ones by TM and Tutor around mid Ula Ula Island, so that's really nice. In general, though, Moxie has great use. Like I said earlier, setup is nerfed. There's a lot of powerful priority moves flying around that will stop fast setup sweepers. There's priority phasing moves like Roar, Whirlwind, Heart Swap, Topsy Turvy, and Haze that will stop sweeps. So in general, it's not like the best, most incredible thing in the world. However, Moxie helps because, again, like I said, the setup PP is nerfed, but with Moxie, you don't need to worry about that as much. You can get a kill, get a boost, kill the next Pokemon to come in, and then maybe you'll be forced out and you'll have to pivot out with a U-turn or a parting shot, which is not a bad thing. You can still get a little bit of a mini snowball going. You've got other very powerful stab moves of all sorts. I'm not going to cover them all, but you have plenty of good options besides the reckless boosted moves later on. Sky Uppercut, Skirmish, Low Kick, Drain Punch, Power Punch, all types of good stuff for that point in the game. Do Wing Beat, got lots of great stuff. You also have good utility, like I said. You have Parting Shot, Battle Cry, Roost, Taunt. You've got a lot of good stuff that you can tack on for certain boss fights. But in general, these very straightforward buffs. Fighting Flying Dual Stab is very great. You do have to keep in mind, I have to balance this around the other Fighting and Flying types. So those are, again, Farfetch'd and Braviary. Braviary having the most defensive utility out of the three because it's bulkier and has Intimidate, and then Sheer Force, so it is also the strongest in terms of raw attack. However, Farfetch'd has those crit moves, and Unburden makes him incredibly fast, and Hawlucha is just very fast and is also very strong with Reckless. So yeah, all three are great. I wouldn't say any of them outclass one another, which is great. I'd love to see that. Yeah, really cool boss for Hawlucha. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Make sure you check out that Google Sheet. Again, I can't understate how important that is to give a look. Definitely check out the other Pokemon buffs and changes on there as well. I recommend you look at that. Don't just use my videos to look at the Pokemon, because especially my older videos, for example, like everything before Gen 3 or 4 is like kind of outdated. I buffed and changed a lot of stuff since then, and I'm going to go back and re-record those eventually. So yeah, those videos are also way longer, so I wouldn't even, I mean, you can watch them if you want. I mean, I thank you for the views and all, but definitely just give them a look on the Google Sheet for now. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. I'll be back for more Carlos buffs and changes coming up. Peace.